Imagine earning $100 million and still feeling poor. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? But it happens more often than people think. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why. Here's what this video will actually give you: a clear, honest picture of what wealth feels like at every single stage, from having nothing in the bank to having more money than most people could spend in 10 lifetimes. You'll understand why every level feels different, why the fears change instead of disappearing, and why chasing the next number doesn't always lead to the peace people expect. This isn't a motivational video, it's an honest one. Let's start at the very beginning. Level 1, $0 to $10,000. This is survival mode, and almost everyone has lived here at some point. At this level, every single decision passes through one filter. Can I actually afford this right now? Rent, groceries, gas, a phone bill? These aren't background expenses. They're the entire financial picture, because there's rarely anything left over once they're covered. Fear lives very close to the surface here. Not loud, dramatic fear, but a quiet, constant pressure that shows up in small, almost invisible ways. Checking a bank balance before buying a coffee, a flash of panic when an unexpected bill arrives in the mail. Avoiding the bank app altogether because looking feels worse than not knowing. At this stage, money isn't a tool for building anything. It's a daily test. And most of the mental energy a person has goes toward simply passing that test, one day at a time, rather than planning further ahead. Level 2, $10,000 to $100,000. This is where the ground starts to feel a little more solid. A small emergency fund might exist for the first time. A retirement account gets opened. There's finally a small cushion between a person and total financial panic. For many people, this is the first time money stops feeling like an emergency and starts feeling like a tool they can actually use. That shift alone changes how people sleep at night. But new mistakes appear here too, and they're easy to miss because they don't feel like mistakes in the moment. As stability grows, so does the temptation to upgrade a nicer car, a bigger apartment, more takeout, more small conveniences. None of these choices look reckless individually, but this is exactly the stage where lifestyle inflation quietly begins, often without anyone noticing it's happening at all, because each upgrade feels earned and reasonable on its own. Level 3, $100,000 to $1 million. Confidence builds here, often for the first time. Investing starts to feel less intimidating and more like a normal part of life instead of something only wealthy people do. Many people at this level describe a real shift in identity. Not wealthy exactly, but secure, capable, in control of their own direction. This is also the stage where lifestyle inflation tends to accelerate simply because the income now supports it comfortably. A bigger home, more frequent travel, a sense that the hardest financial years are finally behind them. But something interesting happens psychologically at this stage too, and it's worth slowing down on. The goalposts move. $1 million, which once felt like an impossible, almost mythical number, starts to feel less like a finish line and more like a starting point. The target keeps shifting just as it's being reached. Level 4, $1 million to $10 million. This stage is often described as the freedom stage, and in many real ways, it is. Career choices open up. There's room to say no to things that don't feel right. Time starts to feel more flexible than it ever has before. But a new kind of stress enters here, one that didn't exist at earlier levels. The fear of losing what's been built. Protecting wealth starts to take up more mental space than creating it did. Decisions that used to feel simple, where to invest, how much to spend on something, now carry more weight because there's genuinely more at stake if something goes wrong. Many people at this level report feeling more responsible than ever before, but not necessarily more relaxed. The stress hasn't disappeared. It's simply changed its source. Level 5, $10 million to $100 million. At this stage, the relationship with money changes almost entirely. Day-to-day spending decisions rarely cause any stress at all. The numbers involved in daily life are simply too small to matter against the larger picture. But something else becomes precious instead. Time. People at this level consistently describe time, not money, as the resource they protect most fiercely. Legacy starts to matter in a deeper way. What gets built, who it helps, what it means beyond just one person's lifetime. Purpose quietly becomes the new currency, replacing the old goal of simply accumulating more. And yet, even here, fear doesn't vanish completely. It simply changes shape one more time, shifting from a fear of running out of money to a fear of losing meaning, relationships, or direction along the way. And this brings us to the most important part of this entire video. The part that ties every level together. Wealth doesn't solve every problem a person has. It simply changes which problems they're dealing with. The stress of not having enough gets replaced by the stress of protecting what's already been built. The fear of failure gets replaced by the fear of losing purpose. At every single level, from $0 to 100 million, there is always a different version of worry, waiting just past the next milestone. The specific fears change, but the presence of some fear rarely disappears completely. It simply evolves into a new form. So what can actually be done with all of this? A few honest lessons stand out clearly across every level. First, don't chase income alone. Income without assets behind it tends to disappear the moment lifestyle catches up to it, no matter how high that income climbs. Second, build assets, not just earnings. Income pays for today. Assets quietly build tomorrow, even when no one's paying close attention to them. Third, watch lifestyle inflation closely, especially in the early and middle stages. It's rarely the big, obvious purchases that drain long-term security. It's the small, reasonable-feeling upgrades that slowly stack up over years. Fourth, focus on freedom rather than status. The people who described the most genuine peace at the highest wealth levels weren't focused on how things looked to others. They were focused on having real choices. And fifth, redefine what enough actually means. On personal terms, before the next number convinces you that you still haven't arrived, maybe wealth was never really about reaching a specific number. Maybe it was always about reaching a life where money stopped controlling the decisions, instead of the other way around. Because somewhere between $0 and 100 million, the real goal quietly shifts. From earning more to needing less. And that shift might be the closest thing there is to an honest definition of being wealthy. This video is for educational and informational purposes only, and is not financial advice. Always consult a licensed financial advisor for guidance specific to your own situation. If this gave you a new way to think about money, consider subscribing. New videos like this one every week.